There's a moment in life that doesn't look like much from the outside. Nothing dramatic happens. No clear decision is made. No one else even notices it. But something inside you quietly shifts. It's not loud. It's not overwhelming. It's just a subtle feeling that something is no longer the same. And you can feel it, even if you don't fully understand it yet. It doesn't come with answers. It doesn't come with clarity. It just comes with a quiet knowing that the version of you that used to feel comfortable here doesn't feel the same anymore. It usually starts with small things. Conversations that used to feel easy start to feel distant. Not wrong, just off. You notice yourself listening differently, responding differently, sometimes even holding back parts of what you want to say. Places that once felt familiar begin to feel unfamiliar in a strange way. Not because they changed, but because you did. Your routine still looks the same. Your life still looks the same. But your experience of it is different. And that difference is hard to explain to anyone else. Because from the outside, everything still looks normal. At first, you try to ignore it. You tell yourself it's just a phase, that you're overthinking, that it will pass if you just give it time. So you stay busy. You fill your days. You distract yourself with things that keep you moving forward. That the feeling doesn't leave. It doesn't get louder. But it also doesn't disappear. It stays in the background. Quiet but constant. And the more you try to ignore it, the more it shows up in unexpected moments. In silence. In stillness. In the space between everything you do. And then there's a moment. Not a big one. Not a dramatic turning point. Just a quiet realization that lands differently than before. You suddenly understand something you can't ignore anymore. You can't go back to how things used to feel. Even if you tried, it wouldn't feel the same. Because now you've noticed it. And once you notice something real, it stays with you. It changes how you see things. It changes how you feel. And slowly, it changes what you're willing to accept. This moment doesn't feel exciting. It doesn't feel like growth in the way people describe it. It feels heavy because it comes with questions that don't have clear answers. What do you do next? What do you change? What do you let go of? And more importantly, what happens if you don't change anything at all? There's no roadmap for this. No clear direction. Just awareness. And awareness changes everything. This is where things become difficult. Because part of you wants to move forward. It wants to explore what feels more real, more honest, more aligned. But another part of you wants to stay exactly where you are. Because staying is familiar. It's predictable. Even if it doesn't feel right, it still feels safe. And that tension between those two parts of you is exhausting. Not because life is overwhelming, but because you're standing between two different versions of yourself. One that you've known for a long time, and one that you're just beginning to understand. People often talk about change like it's a clear decision. Like you wake up one day, and everything makes sense. But real change doesn't feel like clarity. It feels like uncertainty. It feels like stepping into something without knowing where it leads. It feels like letting go of something familiar, without having something solid to replace it yet. And that's why most people don't change. Not because they don't know something is off, but because they're not ready to face what comes after that realization. As you begin to change, you start to notice what no longer fits. Not all at once, but gradually. You outgrow certain conversations, certain environments, certain ways of thinking, and sometimes certain versions of yourself, the parts of you that were shaped by expectation, by habit, by what felt safe at the time. And letting go of those parts is not easy, because even if they don't feel right anymore, they still feel familiar. Growth doesn't always feel like progress. Sometimes it feels like distance. Distance from people. Distance from routines. Distance from the version of life you once understood. And that distance can feel lonely, because you're no longer fully connected to where you were, but you're not fully settled into where you're going either. You're in between, and that in-between space is where most people turn back. But if you stay in that space long enough, something begins to change. You start to notice what actually feels real, not what looks right, not what others expect, but what genuinely resonates with you, what feels aligned, even if it's unfamiliar. You begin to trust your own experience more, not loudly, not confidently, but honestly. And that honesty creates a different kind of clarity. At this point, going back doesn't feel like an option anymore. Even if you try to return to how things were, it doesn't feel the same. You can pretend, you can stay, but something inside you knows the truth. And once you know, you carry it with you. It changes how you see everything. And slowly, it changes what you're willing to settle for. Some thoughts don't become clear until you sit with them long enough. And sometimes, writing is the only place where they can exist honestly. If you need a place to start, there's something in the description. That moment, when you realize you can't stay the same, isn't something you planned. It's not something you chose, but it's something you felt. And once you feel it, it becomes the beginning of seeing your life more clearly than you ever did before.